भाई आप लोग बैठ जाइए, please, all of you, please sit down, close the door after that. A warm welcome to all of you. Before I came here, somebody asked me a question, how many agreements have been signed, how many MOUs have been signed, how many deals have been struck. So my answer was a very cautious one. I said I can only tell you about the ones I'm familiar with. You know, the social media, because I'm not, I mean, a participant in this large platform is not obliged to inform us. So if two private companies have done something, you know, it's a commercial thing. But I can tell you that even the large number of MOUs that have been signed, which involve the OMCs, I will request Secretary to first go through how many of those MOUs have been signed and what they are about, etc. If you can start with the ones today and maybe give them a perspective about the ones yesterday also in case they missed any. All yours now.
No, so I'm also getting disoriented because all kinds of things happening. So there are supply agreements which have got signed for LNG. You know, those they have been with ADNOC. There have been agreements with Total. There have been agreements with other entities. In addition, documents got released. So the IEA gas India gas report, that gas market report got released today. This morning on the Global Biofuels Alliance, over there, two documents. One is a joint declaration by international organizations in terms of the objectives that they're all signing up for. A paper which was released on biofuels coming from non-fuel sources, that got released. Just now there was another on the roundtable itself, which the minister just concluded on the US side. We were informed about an agreement which had just been signed with HMEL at Bhatinda. So these are just a few of ones which I just is more to give you a flavor of. But the kind of things which people are putting out on Twitter, on X, in fact, in terms of the agreements they've signed, it's actually a large number. We're still compiling all of those.
So the point is that the ones which have been signed by the OMCs and which have been exchanged, I've been putting them on the social media. All right. The details about what they are, I think the companies themselves will put out. But as Secretary said, it's a very large number, and this is ongoing work. I would like to just share with you what I have been doing since morning. A large number of bilateral meetings. I had bilateral meetings with my counterpart ministers from Sudan, I had meetings with Brazil, Petrobras. I had other bilateral meetings. I also had a very interesting ministerial session which went over lunch on clean cooking medium. And that had ministers from the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania, it had ministers from Malawi, from Nepal, from several other countries in Africa and otherwise, a large ministerial roundtable. Earlier it was supposed to be a closed door meeting, but we said that, this is an interest subject in which the press has an interest, so we opened it up to the press, and there were some camera people there, also some other journalists were present. 3 or 4 takeaways from that which I wanted to share with you. One is that there is a great deal of interest in the Indian experience or the India story on clean cooking fuel. I mean, you know, the number of gas cylinder or LPG connections we had in 2014 was 14 crores. That's 140 million. Today they are over 33 crores, which is 330 million. So virtually if one connection is for 4 people, we've more or less saturated the entire population with that. Along with taking drinking water and electricity to the farthest point, this clean cooking medium, which is by and large not the case in other countries. So there are still about 2.8 billion people in the world who do not have the benefit of this inexpensive, clean cooking medium. So various discussions took place. How can this Indian experience be replicated in countries of the global south? So we had representatives, not only the ministers from several countries, Brazil, I mentioned Malawi, then there were Tanzania and others. I'll give you the list, but also private sector players. And I'll give you a very small example. The Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania, just to give you a flavor, said that they were interested in solar cooktops. And I said, well, one of our companies is dealing with it. So I requested the CMD of IOCL to join us. He was attending another meeting. And then very interestingly, he told the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania that a party from Tanzania is already in touch with one of the vendors of the IOCL, and that somebody else has already supplied 100,000 cooktops. This is exactly like the story I had about ethanol cooktops, of the example of somebody in Ahmedabad having supplied them to Kenya. So there's a lot of this kind of work already going on, and I think as governments become conscious, this will become a major area of focus. I offered, and the participants readily agreed, that between now and the 4th edition of the India Energy Week, which will take place in Goa in 2026 February, we will have a game plan and a timelines on how we can further progress, affordable, clean cooking medium amongst other countries. There was a lot of interest in the solar cooker. There was interest in financing it through the carbon route. So these were the major takeaways from that event. There was a big roundtable with the US IBC. I'll request Secretary to brief you on that.
So the US IBC, with both the organizations in the US which represent various trade interests, that was a roundtable which evinced a lot of interest, and it is the kind of participation and enthusiasm which we saw, number of things which emerged out of them. So I'll just briefly give you a sense of the kind of companies which were represented there. So we had Exxon, we had Honeywell, we had LanzaJet, we had Chevron, Shell, Caterpillar, S&P Global, HIF Global, Woodside, which is Australian, Emerson, American Petroleum Institute, and from Aprotech, Air Products. All of them, apart from telling us that they're so enthused by the level of energy which they are seeing around the event, and the sheer potential which they are seeing for growth in the Indian market. That, but plus the experimentation, and many of them kept telling us that their back-end engineering centers, the expertise which they have built up over here.
R&D being done here, which is being used back in the
rest
United
of the world.
States also.
So those are the kind of things which we kept hearing as something which excites them even more and brings them back again and again, not only for the event, but outside the event also for their visits here. But I'll just take another moment, sir. I have now a list of some of the other documents which got signed today. So the India-Nepal LNG export signing happened today, which IOCL was involved. Then there was an IOCL ADNOC LNG SPA. There was a MOU between OVL and Petrobras for potential opportunities here. Another MOU between OIL and Petrobras. So the first was ONGC Videsh, the second was OIL. One particular thing, sir, you might want to talk about is the AI mission.
I think you will talk about it.
So one of the things which actually Minister immediately, this was one of the suggestions which emerged during the roundtable with the IBF was on an AI mission for the oil and gas sector in India. And I'm very thankful to the Minister that he promptly agreed to this, and this is something which would be housed within the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and they will be working at AI solutions to be deployed at scale with the Indian oil and gas industry. The also Indo-Sudan bilateral, which Minister referred to, we agreed to form a joint working group with concerned companies at the G2G level, and separately there was a India-Russia roundtable, which
Also very well attended.
Again very well attended, and this was chaired by myself and Mr. Pavel Sorokin from the Russian side. Russian companies and Indian counterpart companies were represented in very significant numbers there, and opportunities for working together were actually elucidated in that meeting.
Do you want to tell them something about the Biofuels Alliance discussions today?
So on the biofuels, there were, like I mentioned, there were two documents which were released this morning. The first actually builds on country-level agreements which we already had. So this time, so we have 12 international organizations who are part of the Global Biofuel Alliance. So in a sense, and they have been contributing to GBA, for example, through secondments of staff. They've been sending people who work with the GBA on full-time basis. And they have been, we've been participating in their events, and they contribute to our thinking and our literature around what we put out. And they have in fact helped us refine our entire arguments around biofuels, how they can gel with people. So 6 or 7 principles which the IOs have signed up for. It's a signed document which will be made available to you today itself. The second one was that often biofuels are mistaken as if, or often represented as if they take food away from people and food is being used for fuel. Now there's a document which was put out today which actually explains how biofuels are being made from things which are not food, from all agri residue, from all other things which are left over when food is consumed, or things which do not reach the human palate, how that is actually turning out to be a big way of producing biofuels which are sustainable. That document was put out based on case studies.
I think we've more or less given you the flavor. I think some of you have been around much more than we have. We were confined to meeting rooms. I read, for instance, yesterday that the IOCL's stall had a master chef visiting it yesterday. There's so much of activity around, but please, if there's anything that you want us to respond to, I'd be very happy to. Our secretary and I and Rajiv will be very happy to respond. If there are any questions, yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I'm Rima Sharma.
Please identify yourself. And
Yeah, I'm Rima Sharma. Sir, there is a robotic dogs is there by the British Petroleum. It is very interesting to assist a company to explore the petroleum and other things to save, as a safeguard also it is worked. As they, what about your concern?
my concerns, I'm happy to see robots.
Yeah.
No, but
In the, this is a robot dog.
but I think
British Petroleum has.
I know, I'm aware of.
See, there are places where we have to deploy robots. And rather than humans going down there, robots doing it is good. When they're acting as eyes and ears. We now, in fact, a lot of our trainings actually happen through AR and VR. And we don't, hold that against them. And this is part of the innovations which IEW has been known for showcasing. So have a look at it. Just as you would be looking at the hydrogen burner for cooking applications, the membrane-less electrolyzer, the net zero retail outlet which is solar energy powered, and the CCU technology which is coming from IIT Bombay. So this is just we have talked about
one of many that are innovations that you will see.
Yes, you have a question? Yes, please.
Hello, there's Paul Hickin from Petroleum Economist. If you may, it seems like Donald Trump talks drill baby drill, but India's walking drill baby drill. How confident are you in reversing India's oil upstream decline, given that all the initiatives you've been taking place, it seems very positive, you're already setting the tone?
See this, thank you for asking the question. This issue of reversing happened much before I arrived on the scene. The problem is that decade between 2006 and 16 was what we refer to as the dull decade. You know, the sector to which you are referring, it requires heavy investment, it requires decisions, they have a long gestation period, and if you don't take the decision, then 5 years down the road, you'll feel that nothing is happening. There was a problem, some of those problems had to do something with our own thinking. We reversed that thinking in 2016 when we went from production sharing agreements to revenue sharing agreement. Then we needed to tweak the law. But meanwhile, you know, what has been happening since 2016-18 is also phenomenal. I mean, ONGC has got, where is Arun? Yeah, 45,000 barrels a day and 98+2. There are other things taking place. So I have been confident about that since earlier. The statement you are referring to coming from the President of the United States, that signifies that they want more energy to come to the market. And the fact is more energy is coming on the market. I see much greater supplies from the Western Hemisphere. I've been saying that for a while. I see more energy coming in Brazil, from Argentina, from Suriname, Guyana, from Canada, from the United States in particular. They're the largest producers with 13 million barrels a day. I think they put another 1.5 million barrels a day on the market. So there is that changes. But there are other challenges you have to navigate. I mean, I think the OPEC production or availability came down from 102 million barrels a day to 97. There it's, you know, I'm very clear. It's if you have an asset, you decide whether you want to release it or don't release it, what you want to do. But overall, the trend is in the direction of more and more energy becoming available. I hope that has, and I'm confident it'll have some sobering influence on price also. We have companies which are very keen on a lower price because they are importers, they are refiners. Some of them are also producers. They are interested in a higher price. You know, India is one of those countries where there's a lot of economic activity taking place, both as producer, exporter, and importer. So it's a fascinating time.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Yeah, you have a question.
Hindu Business Line.
Yeah, Ramesh from Business Line. Thank you. An adjacent question, adjacent to his question. Have you people given up on gas hydrates altogether? We don't hear anything about that at all. We've been talking about it for a very long time. What's the update on National Gas Hydrate Mission? When are we going to see any gas from that?
Look, if you look at the amendments to the ORD Act, we are getting away from thinking just about shale, gas hydrates, condensates. We are broadbanding the whole thing. I do not need to run a special program alone for coal bed methane, another program for gas hydrates, a third program for condensates. I'm saying that once I give you the license,
You do what you want.
you do what you want, because I don't know what is going to happen subsurface. I'm only guessing. Everybody is, at that point, is an educated guess. But geology has a way of surprising everybody. So if you've gone hoping to get oil and you get gas, which has happened in one of our fields, or if you go there and now you're suddenly dealing with condensates, fine, you have the freedom. So I think some of the thinking which we had earlier has got overtaken by amendments to the ORD Act.
Yeah, but there is a gas hydrate mission. There is a gas hydrate.
There isn't
not,
a
not
mission.
a mission. National Gas Hydrate Program.
So once the
Does it get subsumed under
No,
what?
it is already subsumed. But also, can I, in this intellectual discourse that is taking place, can I also make a suggestion? Please resist the temptation of making an assessment on what is happening and not happening in terms of the discussion on it. There are some things on which there is hardly any discussion, and some of the most fascinating things are happening. Like a green hydrogen mission was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister 3 years ago from the ramparts of the, huh? Yes, 3.5 years ago. Then people said nothing is happening in green hydrogen. Then slowly a cabinet decision came on 6 ministries dealing with it. Then one day a PLI scheme came for 19,700 crores. And today IOCL has a tender on it, which is very big. So, but there's not much discussion on it. But you don't need a discussion. My point is once we announce it, now the OIDB amendment, I think what we will do is we'll also sit down with the press and tell you once, the minute I get it through the Lok Sabha, it's already passed the upper house. You don't need separate things on X, Y, and Z because you have an overall program. The exciting thing is that we are going on the gas, natural gas, in a very big way. Today, if you had sat in on the India-US roundtable, or if you had sat in on my discussions with the minister from Qatar, or if you had sat in yesterday, or with my discussions with some of the others, you would have seen what is happening on the gas front, both in terms of natural gas importation, also in terms of, so we are, that movement from 6 to 15% in a way subsumes all of it. And any internal problem which were either of our policy making, some of them, you know, we had a law which was of 1948 vintage. That law applied to mining and quarrying, etc. So then they formed another law a few years ago, but this one remained without some terminological change. So it's a very revolutionary change in thinking also.
Can we move to the, yes, somebody in the middle? Yeah, yes, please. Santosh, uske baad.
But thank you for asking the question. It gives us a chance to, rectify and fill the gaps on that. Yeah.
I've been writing about it since the time I was a young man.
No, you are a young man. I am already an old man, but I was associated only last 3.5 years. So yeah.
Yes, please. You have a question in the middle?
But since the time you've started following this sector, have you seen as much activity and excitement as today?
I can't say that.
You can't say that. Good.
Yeah. So NDTV Profit, yes, you have a
So
question.
yeah, Vikas here from NDTV Profit. So you spoke about AI mission for oil and gas sector. If you can give some more details on that and also dateline by when you are planning and whether the relevance would be more on the upstream or the downstream for AI.
So look, what we are seeing more and more is that in our operations, costs are becoming prohibitive. Prices cannot keep going up indefinitely. You can't keep on passing costs through. You can't sustain it. Easier oil to find, easier gas to find across the world has probably happened. We need to go deeper. We need more expensive equipment. We need better technology. So frugality is going to be very important. Innovation is going to matter much more. AI offers you the opportunity to actually do both these things. And you have seen this happen on your own desktops now, on your own mobiles. You're doing things which used to take much, much more money and resources. So the whole focus of this AI mission, and we will flesh it out in the days to come because this thing came up to us today. We will be fleshing it out, but in a sense, the focus continues to be it will be a razor-sharp focus on promoting frugality and promoting innovation.
Sir, good evening. And sir, congratulations for organizing such a successful event. Sir, the beginning is good, sir. Beginning is good. The beginning is good. So, sir, I have 3 questions. So, one is about hydrogen bus. In every IEW, we see this hydrogen bus outside the event place. Bangalore, Goa, now Delhi. So now you have your government also in Delhi, and Century is about to give 18,000 buses to Delhi. So would we see any hydrogen bus on the Delhi roads or any other state government where we can see the hydrogen bus? The number 2 is, sir, the exchange rate is going to the ₹87. So does it impacting our imports? And number 3 is, sir, about Northeast. So why when we see exploration at food potential at Northeast? Thank you.
देखिए, as far as hydrogen bus I'm concerned, it's a very interesting story. We are, as far as I am aware, the only country in the world which is flying a hydrogen cell bus. And let me share the statistics with you. On 130 kilo this thing, it's doing a 300 kilometers range, as I understood. How do you take an idea into commercial operation? That is the first thing. Clearly, somebody has to step in. So this hydrogen bus is a collaboration between IOCL's lab, where this work has been done. People talk about R&D, but this is a practical example of R&D, and Tata Motors, all right, who make the chassis and so on. I have to take this green hydrogen idea into the popular narrative. Now, I told you steps. PM, Honorable Prime Minister announced 3.5 years ago there's a hydrogen mission. Then came a cabinet decision on 6 ministries, shipping and steel and PNG working on it. Then there came the PLI scam. So what has happened in the 3.5 years? We have gone from an idea into practical implementation. And IOCL has issued a tender. That tender has now got what? How many bids have you got? 7 bids, top class, companies which are going to do it. So you're going into green hydrogen manufacture in a big way. Now, when will the buses come at that scale? I mean, when you talk about 18,000 buses, I think you're talking about the all kinds of buses which are basically under FAME and the other programs, etc. When will hydrogen take on in a big way? If these developments continue, I don't want to put a timeline, but it'll be faster than I could imagine. We have a target today of 2030, 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen. Okay? Meanwhile, there have been advances in, what is it called, Rasal? The, pump storage. You have advances there. It's been tested. You have advances in other technologies. Electrolyzer manufacturing is taking place on a large scale. If you ask me as an individual, not as the minister, I think this 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen by 2030 is a very conservative target. We can meet it. And if some of my oil companies like you convert, you have what, 11 refineries, you're trying to use hydrogen, green hydrogen 2, take it to 4, you will get past the 5 million metric ton. Yesterday in one of my bilateral meetings, I don't remember which one it was, they talked about turbines, captive turbines availability, etc. I've talked about this idea. So we are at the stage when we produced E100 ethanol, a lot of people said, Kis liye bana rahe ho E100? Who will use it? So I used to joke around. I said maybe somebody who's running a tractor on diesel will convert. But today you got flex fuel vehicles coming on. You already saw them in Bharat Mandapam. They're here also, I think, etc. So if you wait sequentially, you'll never get it done. So this green hydrogen is a classic case. We are saying we are at the center of it. We want to be the center. Our companies have signed green ammonia export contracts with Europe, with Singapore. So the green hydrogen story is coming. By when? I don't know the time, but if you continue to ask me questions like this through the press, I told the members of parliament, we had a very interesting 16 members of the parliamentary committee here. And I said, next time we are going to put you guys on they went around in a green hydrogen bus. Also to bring you from your homes to parliament, we'll have green hydrogen buses. So these are little things happening, but the narrative is now becoming a mainstream narrative.
Northeast, yes.
No, Northeast, absolutely. I mean, he's from the Northeast, he'll answer that. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to answer it.
So look, in the Northeast, Assam, Arunachal, Nagaland, Tripura. These are the 4 areas where we have established prospectivity. And in fact, later this month, the minister himself is traveling to the Northeast. And we are looking at, now we are, in fact, to be fair, we get cooperation from all the states in the Northeast in terms of some of the earlier challenges. And we know that very different companies have plans to expand production there. There are some issues around gas evacuation. So there is some more infrastructure which is needed because some wells are currently capped because there is not enough demand, and we need to connect that to the national grid and be able to develop evacuation facilities. That's something on which work is in progress. And amongst the open acreage areas which have been awarded last time, a lot of blocks in the Northeast have also been given out.
Actually from NDTV, yes please.
Okay, on the exchange rate, you want to?
Yeah, sure. Let the finance minister answer some questions.
Hello. Sakshi, please, start.
Hi, sir. Sakshi from NDTV.
I deliberately didn't want to.
So with electric vehicles being in focus and Prime Minister Modi also saying that, we need to boost EV battery production and storage, any timelines for that?
No, the very fact that the cabinet takes a decision on a critical minerals mission, that shows that the government is giving it the importance it deserves. But it will not be correct for me as a line minister for petroleum and natural gas to start making policy pronouncements on critical minerals. I think that lies with, Prahlad Joshi ji, etc. It's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And also sustainable aviation fuel.
That's
is
another area where I have been talking about it. You have a clear situation. India is very well positioned. I had already announced a 1%, 2 and 3%, 27, 2027, 28, 29. I think we needed how much for 1% mixing? 14 crore liters. I think we can get that, but it's a question of getting the thing in, and then depending on what the Corsair mandates are, what the European Union likely mandates are, we are positioning ourselves, and we will be a major producer of sustainable aviation fuels.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please, you have a question from the...
Sir, I am Shrikant from the Hindu. As per the Secretary's version of biofuels being manufactured from food waste and other things, and as per your version yesterday of scaling up the usage of biofuels from 6 to 15%, is there any...
Biofuel, that's gas mix 6 to 15%.
That's what?
Biofuels, we are going to be at 20. We have to decide how much further we can go.
Okay, fine. Is there any possibility for using biofuels in transport sector, that too in the railway network, which can save a lot of electricity and
No,
diesel?
listen, first of all, if you have biofuels, as I think we are likely to have, ONGC chairman and I keep discussing on how much will be available. If you can bring it into transportation, and if you have flex fuel vehicles, etc., immediately a major user is there. Insofar as other sectors are concerned, there are other specifications. I don't want to speculate on that here, because it's not my job. You need to do the technicality, where you've got diesel, you've got other issues, what you want to do. So I would not go into that area. But one thing I want to tell you is that the 6 to 15% is for gas in the overall energy mix. Just now we have to very carefully think through that we've got 20% 6 years earlier than we had anticipated. How much more do we go to? Brazil has been dealing with the biofuel story for 40 years. And the Petrobras chairman was telling me today they are at 27% and they are going to 35%. That's a very different situation because they are already there. We have to see from 20% what? Then some technological changes. HPCL has a kit where you can change for 1,000 rupees. You can modify a two-wheeler, three-wheeler to using biofuel. So a lot of little things are happening. We'll see where it goes.
So we have a question at the back side. I think there's a hand raised, I can see. Yes, please, yeah.
Hi, sir. Sharik here from Reuters. I wanted to follow up on the LNG supply deal to Nepal. If we're right, this is the second agreement. Last year, there was one between Petronet and Sri Lanka. We were also told there were talks with Bangladesh before the unrest in the country. So just wanted to understand, should we see this as a state-backed directive to explore export opportunities?
Look, companies in our space don't need directions to do export. We are amongst the largest exporters. In fact, as a category, if you see petroleum and petroleum products is the single largest category of export from India. I mean, they don't need directives to start exporting. They'll see business, they'll go and do business there. So this one today is about Nepal. Yeah, the other day it would have been to some country in Europe. Third day it is to somebody else in South America. So they take commercial decisions.
So anybody else? Anyone else? I think so we are done, sir.
Well, thank you very much. The day is still young and we still have tomorrow and day after. So thank you very much. We'll meet again tomorrow sometime to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
So we are inviting them to go to this company's pavilions in a conducted manner.
No, you must also. I hope you're feeding them also. Call them. Were you all there for the cultural extravaganza last night? You should have been there. Why aren't they there? You should invite all of them. Invite them today also. Please invite all of you are invited for the cultural show and the dinner. Okay, thank you.